Today's session will specifically focus on what exactly you are going to do in the next 60 days, 60 odd days that are left for the exam. 2 months बचा है, 60 days बचा है, 60 days exactly मिलेगा नहीं. ठीक है, कुछ days इधर उधर जाते हैं, buffer days जाते हैं. These 2 months, if you lose your momentum, if you lose your consistency, you'll have a very tough time getting back. Very tough time getting back. Focus on whatever you have already done so far. जो भी तुमने किया है उस पर ध्यान दो, उस पर जान लगा के उसको रिवाइज करो. अब जितनी मेहनत करी है अभी अभी ही टाइम है कि उसको अच्छे से प्लेस में डाल करके उसकी जो भी उसका फ्रूट हो सकता है वो रीप कर सको. ठीक है. हेलो एवरीवन, वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू दिस सेशन. Today's session is okay. First of all, I'm Siddharth and I'm the CR faculty at CLAT. And today's session is slightly different. Today's session is slightly special. It is special because of two reasons. Firstly, it will be, if not the last, one of the last sessions that I'll be taking before CLAT 2026. And the second reason being that today's class, today's session, we have labeled it as checklist 2026, so CLAT 2026. So why exactly checklist? The reason is that today we are going to go over the pointers that you should keep in mind, because we are at the final lap of our preparation, right? We are at the last mile of our preparation, and we need to ensure that we don't get anything wrong, we don't miss out on anything, which is why this session today. Today's session will specifically focus on the things that you have to ensure and keep in mind when you're preparing your strategy, preparing what exactly you're going to do in the next 60 days, 60 odd days that are left for the exam. When I say that this is the checklist, I also mean that this is not a straitjacket formula. It's not something that you just take and apply in your preparation. This is something that you take and see what are the things that you have to keep in mind when you make your own strategy, when you make your own timeline. Okay, so that's a very big disclaimer for today's session. Keep your pen and notebook ready. We'll be talking about a lot of things. This session is going to be around 30 odd minutes of 30 odd minutes, and the whole idea is that we go over everything. Okay, so okay, let's get started. So first thing is, yes. So the first thing that we have to keep in mind is something that we call, we are going to call for the purposes of our session today as the constants. Why the constants? So we are going to divide our entire whatever time we have left, around 60 odd days, into two different parts. Okay, the first 30 days and the next 30 days, right? So there are going to be the things that are going to be constant for these two two different parts. First pointer on, as you can also see on your screen, is that you are as strong as your weakest section. What does that mean? I know we are still at that stage where um, कुछ लोगों को क्यूटी से डर लगता है, कुछ लोगों को सीए से डर लगता है, कुछ लोग अभी भी थोड़े से अनसर्टेन से हैं डेटा अरेंजमेंट को लेकर के, ग्रामर अभी तक रिवाइज नहीं करी है. ये सारी चीजें हैं अभी भी. ठीक है, these things still persist. What I want to point you towards is that you are as strong as your weakest section, as your weakest portion. CLAT over the past few years, if there's anything that all of us are certain about, is that this exam is uncertain. If you are someone who is very good, very weak at maths, very weak at QT, then we are talking about taking a gamble for the paper. So what is it that we are going to do then? Why is the analysis of what is my weakest section even important? This is why it's very important, because you don't know how, and this is something that we have discussed a lot in our classes, and I'll speak about it here today as well. So कुछ लोगों को लगता है ठीक है क्यूटी छोड़ के चले जाएंगे, but what about instances जहाँ पे ये हो रखा है, where we have seen that the QT section is one of the easiest? If that is the case, which is very likely, which is equally likely to happen on the day of your exam, that those 10 questions or 12 odd questions will end up deciding everything then. Because they'll be easy. If anyone who is decently good at QT, you will be able to solve them. On the contrary, if they are moderately difficult, If you're not somebody who is very good at QT, then you'll have a tough time during the paper figuring out that is it difficult or is it just because I am not good at QT that I'm finding it um tough to even make sense of everything that's being talked about. Okay. So that, which is why it's very crucial that you figure out what is the weak area of your paper, because everything all and we're going to go how do you do that, all of and what are the things that you have to keep in mind. All of it will go through. So which is why it's very essential that you identify what your weak section is and then plan accordingly. Second, something that we have been talking about since day one is consistency. अभी अगर consistency lose करी तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम आएगी. ठीक है, बहुत प्रॉब्लम आएगी. मामा की शादी, चाचा की शादी, मामी, मौसी जी, मासी, जो भी जिनकी भी जो भी तुम्हारे रिलेटिव्स हैं उनकी जो भी बेटे बेटियां भाई बहन जो भी हैं, किसी की भी शादी कुछ भी हो, एवरीथिंग एल्स कैन वेट राइट नाउ. ठीक है, these 2 months, if you lose your momentum, if you lose your consistency, you'll have a very tough time getting back. Very tough time getting back. सबकी बर्थडे सब कुछ वेट कर सकते हैं, अभी अभी के लिए कुछ भी रिस्क नहीं लेना है. ठीक है, there is a reason why we say, and you take X topper, Y topper, Z topper का interview, everybody will tell you the same thing, that consistency matters. There's a reason why everybody says the same thing, because it does matter. And last 2 months you can't afford to lose that. Third, goes without saying, revision. As strong, I mean तुम्हारे notes में कोई चीज है but वो वहां पे click नहीं करा तो क्या फायदा notes बना करके, right? So you have to also very you'll have to be very careful of what is it that you are reading then, because if you are reading something that you are not, you won't be able to analyze or revise, or not analyze, that you don't know, you won't be able to revise, then it does not make much sense to then read it. अभी अपन लोग 5 to 6 डिफरेंट कंपेंडियम्स पढ़ते हैं. बहुत ऑनेस्टली खुद से पूछना, अगले 2 महीनों में वो जो 5-6 कंपेंडियम तुम सब महीनों के इकट्ठा करके रखे हुए अपने फोन अपने लैपटॉप पे एक बार मुश्किल से रीड किया हुआ होगा, वो दोबारा तुम पढ़ करके दिमाग में स्टोर करके जा पाओगे क्या? द आंसर टू दैट इज नो. और इवन इफ यू आर डाउटफुल, देन तुम टाइम वेस्ट कर रहे हो उनको पढ़ करके, उनको रिवाइज करके एक्स्ट्रा प्रेशर डाल रहे हो. रीड ओनली दोज थिंग्स दैट यू कैन रिवाइज, and everything now has to be revision ready. What do I mean when I say revision ready? So there will be things that you'll be revising right now, and you can know right now itself कि बाद में revise करने का मौका नहीं मिलेगा. There are going to be things that you revise right now, and then you would feel like, "हाँ, I need to revise it once more before the exam." You have to keep making notes of all of these things. Okay, all of these things. So when you read something and you feel कि हाँ, this is the portion that I need to revise again, you have to mark it accordingly so that when you go through that material, you go to exact that part and see, हाँ, ठीक है, this is what I had to revise, making things easier for future if you have to revise it again. But also keeping in mind that it might be the last time that you are revising things. Okay, 2 months बचा है, 60 days बचा है, 60 days exactly मिलेगा नहीं. ठीक है, कुछ डेज इधर उधर जाते हैं, बफर डेज जाते हैं, 8 to 10 days इधर उधर जाएंगे, कुल मिला के 50 days बचेंगे तुम्हारे पास एग्जाम के. 2-3 दिन पहले तो एंग्जाइटी ही होती रहेगी तुम्हें. ठीक है, एंड लाइफ हैपेंस, थोड़ा इधर उधर ऊपर नीचे हो जाता है. ठीक है, so which is why you have to be very very calculative at this stage. Fourth point, being a constant, is PYQs, something that most of us ignore. What do I even mean when I say PYQ? Am I asking you to solve PYQs? No, I'm asking you to revise and analyze PYQs. I'm asking you to understand what is the point of view from which CLAT comes. Okay? And for this, I'm asking you only to read and revise and analyze 2020 to 2025 ka papers. Nothing before that. Okay? Why is this important? Trust me when I say this, you'll have to unlearn a lot of things. You have to unlearn a lot of things. तुम XYZ कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट का मॉक देते हो, हर मॉक पेपर से अलग होता है, कुछ ना कुछ डिफरेंसेस होते हैं, और वो माइन्यूट डिफरेंस एंड्स अप मेकिंग द होल, मेकिंग changing everything, ends up changing everything on the day of the paper. ठीक है, which is why PYQ, reading, revising, analyzing, they are your Holy Grail, they are your Bible, they are your Quran, whatever scripture you follow, they are that. And you have to keep it handy, keep revising, keep analyzing, keep focusing, and keep yourself familiarizing with what exactly is the paper demanding. ठीक है, ये पूरे 2 महीने चलता ही रहेगा, कम से कम 5-6 बार अपने को सारा पीवाईक्यू देखना है। ठीक है। लास्टली, अगेन, continuing from the second point, momentum matters. Your momentum is the key. If you lose your momentum, if the game is going to be very tough, very very tough. Okay, momentum makes things a lot easier. Okay, we cannot lose that. All right, let's move on. Next slide. The next slide says phase one, the first 30 days. Okay, so technically the first month. First, take the syllabus, figure out what is left and what needs revision. Okay. First, always अपने आप को assess करना है, where exactly am I standing? And this assessment has to be done multiple times in the exam. कि where am I standing? What is it that I'm lacking? First, what's left? जो तुमने cover नहीं करा है वो. What needs revision? What needs um, re what is that you need to revisit? Your mocks will tell you that, right? Your sectional tests will tell you that. Those are the areas that you have to go back to. Go to the CLAT consortium website. The CLAT consortium website very clearly talks about the skills that they're going to test you on. I understand that they have been times when they have asked you questions which the moment you see them, you are like, oh, what is this? This was not supposed to come in the exam. But if you really look at what are the skills that they are testing, you will realize कि हाँ, all of it, whatever, all those absurd questions, whatever they have asked, technically do come under the definition that they have put up on the CLAT consortium website. Okay, which is where go there and see if you have all those things. It's a nice exercise, will help you a lot. Okay, but do that. Okay. Third pointer says first 2 weeks. So ideally the first 2 weeks of the 30 days. So we're talking about the 14, 15 days. The first 14, 15 days covered all the bases. I have highlighted two particular sections, current affairs and QT, because these are the two sections which end up making the difference. Most of the students have a very good grasp over English, legal, and critical reasoning. Why? Because these three sections have a lot of skills which are in common. So if you are good in English, you'll be decently good in legal, you'll be decently good in CR2. If you're very good in English and you have some grasp over concepts and you know what critical reasoning is about, you'll be good in all three sections. What ends up making a difference then is CA and um, is current affairs and the QT section. Okay. So the first three sections will ensure that you crack the paper. The last two sections will ensure that you get a very high rank. Okay, so cover all the bases the first 15 days. If there's any topic, permutation combination नहीं पढ़ा है, probability नहीं पढ़ी है, this is the time when you go and read it. Okay, इसके बाद time नहीं मिलेगा. अभी वो time है जो भी करना है, ठीक है? Then high intensity practice sessions. What do I mean by high intensity practice sessions? Okay, so test, analyze, revision, repeat. First, you write a test. कौन सा test लिखना है? I'll tell you. First, you write a test. You analyze. Doesn't matter if it's a sectional test, you analyze. You analyze every test that you take. You revise the whatever you have analyzed the next day, and then repeat. Take a new test and try and incorporate whatever you have, whatever you understood from the last test. Okay, it's a loop, and you have to get into this loop. Okay, why am I asking you to get into this loop? Okay, there are things that you will only improve once you get into this loop. Once you this is a very repetitive exercise, very repetitive exercise. Every single test that you take. Okay, so I'll go to the next slide to make better sense. Okay, it says okay, the order is thoda different. So full length mock is at the top, sectional test and topic test. Okay, that's the hierarchy that you have. So let's say you took a mock, okay, and then you realize कि हाँ um, sectional test, let's say a particular section is weak. एक particular section क्यों weak है? Is it because of some topic or is it because of the section in general? So then, if it is because of topic, you go to stage one, you go to the topic test. If it is because of the section, you go to sectional test. You don't immediately increase the number of mocks. No, that's not the way to go about it. Very big disclaimer, increasing the number of mocks is not a solution. You go and see where exactly you were lacking. If you feel that, okay, so it was a topic, go and read, take the topic test. Again, high intensity, um, take the test, analyze, revise, and repeat. If it is a section, go and do that. If let's say you realize that there are no such topics you're weak at, when you take a sectional test, let's say CR, when you take that sectional test, CR के sectional test में अच्छे नंबर आते हैं, mock में नहीं आते हैं. It is then and only then when you start increasing the number of your mocks. Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, क्योंकि sectional test तुम्हारी makes you focus on that one particular section. Full length mock makes you do that in a pressure environment where you have to where performance in one section impacts others. So there are additional skills which are into play when you take a full length mock, okay, which are not when you take sectional test. Okay, so you have to figure out where exactly things are going wrong and then take tests accordingly and follow the same high intensity thing. One big disclaimer: try attempting the test in time in a time range which is less than the ideal stipulated time. So let's say you're supposed to solve CI in 25 minutes, try and solve it in 23 minutes. If you are supposed to solve the mock in 1 hour 20 in 2 hours 120 minutes, try and solve it in 118 or 117 minutes, 115 minutes. Take a challenge yourself to all of this. Make sure when you write these tests, again a very big disclaimer, when you make sure when you write these tests you are not in your ideal environment. ऐसा नहीं है कि रूम में एसी चल रहा है, आराम से पंखा चल रहा है, ठंडा पानी रखा हुआ है, आराम से बैठ के मॉक दे रहे हैं, शोर शराबा बिल्कुल भी नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता है टेस्ट सेंटर में. यू आर अप फॉर अ सरप्राइज. सबके साथ नहीं होता है ऐसा, ठीक है. तुम्हारे साथ भी हो जरूरी नहीं है, नहीं हो सकता है तुम्हारे साथ, गॉड फॉरबिड, बट आइडियल कंडीशंस ना हो टेस्ट के लिए, ठीक है. सो you need to be habituated in taking tests and focusing in all kinds of environment. Okay, and then when you do that, you keep repeating this entire process. Okay, this is for the first 30 days. All right. Next slide talks about rotation of 5 sections. When you're planning what exactly you're going to do in the first 30 days, the gap that you give between each section cannot be more than 2 days. Okay, so let's say you solved legal on Monday, you did not solve legal on Tuesday, you did not solve legal on Wednesday, you are going to solve legal on Thursday. Okay, this is how we are going to proceed. You need to ensure that you are rotating these 5 sections carefully. Okay, again, a checklist that you need to tick. Consistency in scores. This is the time when you try and stabilize your scores. अभी अगर उस आइडियल रेंज में नहीं पहुंचे कोई बात नहीं, कोशिश करेंगे पहुंचने के लिए, बट अगर उस आइडियल रेंज में है तो हम स्टेबलाइज करने की कोशिश करेंगे. आइडियल रेंज में नहीं है तो ऐसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए कि टुडे आई एम इन 70s, instead of going to 80s I am back to 60s tomorrow, and again I am back to late 60s and again 70s. No, no, no. We need to figure out what's going on. Okay, इतना high difference range में नहीं जा सकता अपना, ठीक है. We need some stability. We need stability in our strategy. This is the last month where we are going to figure out finally what's our strategy going to be like. When I say strategy, it cannot be मैं जाऊंगा and these are the 5 sections and this is the order that I'm going to attempt and that's it. No, your strategy needs to incorporate all of the things that can happen in a test. The level of difficulty in a particular order, absurd questions depending on what section you're solving, things that might happen to you. All of these things have to be very, very careful about. I remember when I was appearing for the exam in 2021, I had a power cut, 7 minutes power cut in my test center. So what do you do then? How do you keep yourself calm then? You can't really do anything. Okay. So there are a lot of variables that are going to come on the day of the exam. A lot of things that you won't be able to control. Try and ensure that most of the variables are in your favor. You have some idea what is it that you're going to do. Okay, some idea of most of the things that you're going to do. Of course, there will still be things that you wouldn't have anticipated, but that's all right. That's totally fine. Because that's totally fine. Because you can't do anything about it. But at least the things that you can anticipate, okay, have a strategy ready for that. Have it in your head. Okay, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. And this is what I mean when I say time management and exam temperament. Both are two different things. Okay. Both are two different things. Of what is it that you're going to do on the day of the exam, what is it that you're going to do and the day of when you're sitting in the exam hall. Okay, these are two different things. When you are writing the test, what should be your temperament? When you are sitting in exam hall, what should be your temperament? There are a lot of things. The environment completely changes when you are in the test center, right? The environment completely changes. What happens? You suddenly see a lot of people sitting and writing the test with you at the same time. A lot of seriousness. There could be people who might be muttering when you are writing the test, causing a lot of disturbance. invigilators coming and asking you to sign the paper, bench being shaky, um, uh, fan speed being too high and you feeling cold, and all of those things can happen. Okay, so you have to be prepared of what is it, how is it that you're exactly going to react, what is your ideal schedule on that day going to be like, what are the things that you're going to do on that day. All of these things you have to be very clear about. Okay. um very briefly, things such as visualization, affirmations, all of this are very helpful in this regard. They try and if you're someone who follows all these things, um, it will help you a lot. It will help you calm down your nerves. A very good book, Power of Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy. You can go and read that book. It's called Power of Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. You go and read that book. I think 7 to 8 chapter talks about 6 or 7 chapter talks about the techniques. That chapter is very relevant for you all. Okay. All right, we'll move on. Okay. The last 30 days, the final 30 days. Nothing new, just revise. You can't do anything new क्योंकि तुम कुछ कर भी रहे होगे ना तुम पेपर में करके नहीं आ पाओगे. ट्रस्ट में नहीं आ पाओगे. हो सकता है थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे हो जाए, but that's all. Focus on whatever you have already done so far. जो भी तुमने किया है उस पर ध्यान दो, उस पर जान लगा के उसको रिवाइज करो. ठीक है. And when you're revising, focus on the key concepts such as main idea, title, inference. वो सारी चीजें, टिपिकल चीजें जो तुम्हें ट्रबल करती हैं, हमेशा स्टेबल करती आई हैं, उन पे ध्यान दो. ठीक है. Current affairs, and I just made a note of things that you have to revise. Current affairs, have multiple revisions of current affairs. Okay, just one, twice, thrice are not going to do, are not going to cut it. Okay, you'll have to revise it multiple times, around 5 to 6 times each month. Should be at the back of your head. Now, of course, you don't need to uh, memorize it enough कि तुम ऐसे तुमसे कुछ पूछो तुम्हें याद आ जाए. Memorize it only to that extent कि आंसर ऑप्शन देख के तुम्हें क्लिक करे. And that's enough. अपने पास आंसर ऑप्शन होगा, अपने को लिख के नहीं आना है वहां पे. ठीक है. वोकैबुलरी, मैथ्स के इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर्मूले, ग्रामर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. टोन्स एंड फिगर्स ऑफ स्पीच, थ्योरी, लीगल सीआर, क्यूटी, सीआर की भी थ्योरी होती है. ठीक है. आई बीन टीचिंग फॉर ऑल दिस वाइल. सीआर की भी थ्योरी होती है. आई हैव आल्सो प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर दिस एग्जाम. आई हैव आल्सो क्रैक्ड दिस एग्जाम विद अ वेरी गुड रैंक. सो इसकी भी थ्योरी होती है, एंड इट्स आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके. ओके. Number of mocks, we have covered number of mocks. There are no set rule of number of mocks. You can't be like, ah, ठीक है, I'm going to write. I know people who wrote 1 or 2 mocks in the last 30 days and are in NLS, and there are people who wrote 2 mocks in a day and are in NLS. Okay, so there are different people. The only thing that is common in all of them is they focused on what is it that they needed, and they did only just that. And you have to do only just that. You need not do anything else. So you have to figure out what is it that you are lacking, what is precisely it that you're lacking, and analysis is going to help you in this regard. The pick up your past 10 mocks if you don't know what to do. Look at your past 10 mocks and figure out what should be your next step, and then plan accordingly. If you think that well, oh, I'm scoring very high in all 5 sections but not in mocks, then you increase the number of mocks. Mocks are a very easy way to practice. If you feel like everything is going good, I my scores are stabilized, I just need to keep it stabilized. Great, go ahead, increase the number of mocks. Otherwise, if you think, huh, I know this section I need to still work on and I need to still revise it, why are you taking a lot of mocks then? Unless you want to revise it, you want to attempt it in a form of a mock, and you don't want to pay any special attention. So all of it is a very person specific, right? तुम्हारे हिसाब से चीजें होंगी. I'm just giving you prompts कि तुम्हें क्या चाहिए, तुम्हारी प्रिपरेशन में कैसी सी कमी है. ठीक है. मेक श्योर योर मेंटल एंड फिजिकल हेल्थ इज इंटैक्ट. अभी बीमार नहीं पड़ सकते अपन, है ना. अभी बीमार नहीं पड़ सकते. मेंटली भी खुद को अच्छा रखना है. थोड़े avenues, take half an hour, 1 hour. What is it that you like to do? Go and take a walk in the park with your earphones on, listen to your favorite music. If nothing, just go to your terrace रात में and take a walk. Talk to your favorite friend. Watch that one small episode if you can control yourself. Small episode of particular sitcom. ऐसा नहीं कि दिन भर देखते रह गए, ब्रेकिंग बैड खत्म ही कर डाली आखिरी 30 दिन में, ये नहीं करना है. So whatever you like to do, give yourself thoda reward. Okay, keep giving yourself thoda reward. And yes, exam hall temperament, exam day temperament, we have talked about it. So एग्जाम हॉल टेम्परामेंट विजुअलाइजेशन अफर्मेशन इज गोइंग टू हेल्प कि एग्जाम में हॉल में बैठ करके बहुत लोग नर्वस हो जाते हैं, राइट? योर हैंड स्टार्ट shaking, you start sweating. um, how do you handle that pressure when you know ki it is the day which you have been preparing for all this long? Visualization helps, affirmation helps. Exam day temperament, what is it that you're going to do on that day? You can't leave these things to chance. ठीक है? तुम्हें अराउंड 1:30 तक एग्जाम हॉल में बैठे रहना होगा, तो तुम अराउंड 12:30 यू लीव फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन सेंटर, which means you'll be having lunch around 12. Do you have lunch around 12 every single day? No, right? If you do, great. If you don't, then start having lunch, क्योंकि छोटी छोटी चीजें बड़ा इम्पैक्ट कर देती हैं। ठीक है, तुम अब ब्लोटेड फील कर रहे हो गया, तुम्हें भूख लग रही होगी, तुम फोकस नहीं कर पा रहे हो, चीजें जनरली नहीं होती हैं ऐसी, क्योंकि योर एड्रेनलिन इज एट इट्स पीक, बट स्टिल, ठीक है, इफ यू आर इन अ हैबिट हेल्प्स। ठीक है, ओके, या, ओके, इट वाज जस्ट दैट. That's all I wanted to talk about. If there are any specific doubts that you have, you can always put them down in the comment section, and I'll take out time to answer them. But yeah, keep revising, keep studying hard. जितनी मेहनत करी है, अभी अभी ही टाइम है कि उसको अच्छे से प्लेस में डाल करके उसकी जो भी उसका फ्रूट हो सकता है वो रीप कर सको। ठीक है, अभी ढीले नहीं पड़ना है, अभी इनसिंसियरिटी नहीं ला सकते हैं, अभी 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 प्रिपरेशन में गैप नहीं हो सकती, अभी हर चीज वेट कर सकता है। ठीक है, अभी अगर सही से मेहनत करी है, अभी तक करी है, अभी भी करेंगे, रिजल्ट अच्छा आएगा ही आएगा। ओके, प्रोवाइडेड यू आर डूइंग इट इन द राइट डायरेक्शन। ठीक है, if required, go and watch this video again. There are some things that I've dropped here and there that might help. But yes, one last thing that I have to say is that Flames is also launching this score booster series. So if you have trouble in any particular section, I think CR went like a few days ago. So if you have any trouble in any particular section and you want to study from one of our own faculty members, please do. But this is the time. Okay, first month, first 30, 35 odd days is the time when you actually take your weak section and start working on it and start focusing on it and ensure that you get the most out of it. Okay. And in all these code booster series, we will be looking at the past year papers too. We'll be trying to figure out a trend and see कि तुम उससे कैसे benefit कर सकते हो, तुम उससे कैसे सीख सकते हो। ठीक है, and first year I'll be doing that myself. Okay, these are the links and details of our socials. You may follow them. We would really appreciate that. But yeah, that's all from my end, and I'll see you hopefully if I have another session, and if you um, choose to become part of Planes through the Score Booster series, or if you're already a student. But yeah, I'll see you there, and all the very best for the exam. May the force be with you. May God help you on the day of exam, and may you ace the paper. Yeah, that's all. That's all from my end. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, bye bye.